Welcome to the Richard George series, the Groom Series, where we will be talking in detail with Richard George grooms about the process of being measured and tailored for the all-important day and the decisions that were made to make that piece specific to them. I'm here today with Harvey Paynton-South to talk about his fantastic Richard George piece and what inspired the overall look. Right, so Harvey, before we get into talking about tailoring and your experience there, I'd love to hear a little bit more about the fantastic wedding day itself and the venue.
So we chose the venue on it being a very traditional English house. It has its own wedding ceremony room out the back of the house and a beautiful garden room. Everything about it was stunning. It fitted exactly what we wanted. So we really wanted it to be as English as possible.
And you were kind enough to invite me along, which was wonderful. You know, it was such a fantastic day. But the venue, as you said, it was beautiful. And I think knowing what I know about you, I think it just perfectly marries up, for want of a better phrase. It's very British, and even the way that you had kind of dressed it up with the choice of cars, your stunning classic Defender out the front, it all just had that country nod and feel, and of course plenty of green as well, which is, you know, your favourite colour.
Yeah, green was a huge part of it. It is just my favourite colour, but having my green Land Rover Defender, Christian's green Bentley parked out the front for when everyone arrived, it was like, it's just set the scene perfectly for people arriving. We didn't give a dress code as such, but we did say to people, if you have something country you'd like to wear something like that.
But even the ceremony had a degree of bringing the outside in. I think throughout the day people sort of gravitated towards being outside. I mean, the beautifully manicured gardens, and there's just something nice about being in the open air and chatting and sort of catching up with people. But I think the ceremony itself, I thought it was quite beautiful how sort of plant life had been brought in, and it just had that real kind of natural, organic kind of feel to it, which was great. It's such an honour to create tailoring for people in general, but for something like a wedding day, which is you look back fondly for many, many years, is you know, the pressure's on. It's really important for us that it is absolutely seamless and perfect. So to be trusted with that is a true honour. And yeah, it's always a pleasure to work with you. I mean, you're a fantastic silhouette for good quality tailoring, and you appreciate the sort of finer details of cloth and construction. You know, we have people that come through are kind of, they need a suit, they'll get a suit and they leave with a suit, whereas you and I will take the time, we'll have a beer or a tequila or whatever it is and sort of work through meticulously that design process, which tells me it's so important to you, which for me is, you know, it's a really pleasurable part of the process.
Yeah, so for myself, because I don't actually require many tailored items because of the nature of my job, it's a rare, not rare, but it's a more unusual occasion for me to wear tailoring. Most of the time I'm in given work clothes and uniform. So when I have a piece from yourself, I like it to be perfect, but perfect in a way that it doesn't have to be exactly to the millimetre or whatever, but perfect for the situation I'm going to be in. So like this suit now is this is my wedding suit, but it's a nod to growing up in the countryside and game shooting and my love for all things green. It's a very dark green, but it actually hides lots of colour within it in certain lights. It's got so many small details that we implemented in it, and it really just fitted the occasion perfectly.
Yeah, I think, as you alluded to, you know, your role and your sort of day-to-day life doesn't require a suit. So this meeting, this appointment was your opportunity, I think, to really deep dive into arguably the most special piece that you're going to wear. You alluded to the fabric. I kind of knew what you were going to have before you came through the door. I mean, I wanted to make you feel like you were going to have some input and sort of select things, but we had a bunch arrive from Dugdale, which is an incredible mill based in Huddersfield, I think since 1869. Forgive me if I've got a couple of years out. They've been producing cloth. And it's called Old England. And I thought, I mean, come on, anything with England in the title is going to be something that you'd appreciate.
Yeah.
But just the weight and the handle and the softness, and as you said, the different colours that exist within it are just unbelievable. I mean, you look at this suit in any different light, and because there are so many colours in it, any one of those can pop out, and it just shows a different facet to it. So it kind of transcends, because you're wearing it for the day. It sort of transcends through from the morning to the dinner, to the lunch, and through to the evening, and it just had multifaceted.
Yeah,
felt.
yeah. I don't know how I could have decided for it to be better, honestly, but the Dugdale cloth is absolutely incredible. I know it took me a long time to get to that decision with the amount of fabrics in front of us, and inevitably it was one of the higher end fabrics, but it was worth everything to have the correct fabric on the day. And the way it hangs and the waist jacket and everything about it is just, it couldn't have been better for myself. There's some small touches. I have the date of the wedding under the collar. I have my new initials because me and Liberty shared our surnames.
Nice.
Which isn't so traditional, but it's something we really wanted to do because we wanted to carry them both forwards. And you managed to capture that all so well whilst keeping exactly what I wanted. And it's quite subtle. It's not an in-your-face suit. I can wear it to other occasions after, because the nature of buying such a suit from yourself as a tailored suit, it isn't something I would probably do that often. So I'd like to be able to wear it again in the future, maybe for just the jacket at the end of a game shoot in the meal, or just the trousers with some knitwear or something like that. And it's very versatile to be able to do that.
Why do you feel it's important to invest in something like this?
I think personally, I feel absolutely fantastic in it. Sometimes people really struggle to find clothes that perfectly fit them. I myself, my legs are larger than my waist in comparison to most normal trousers. So getting a pair of trousers in particular that fits nicely is actually quite a challenge. So being able to wear something so perfect to my own silhouette is absolutely fantastic. It just makes me feel amazing about myself. It's not anything about compliments from anyone else. It's about how I feel in it, which is just amazing.
Your name's embroidered in the jacket, but so's mine. Mine's on the label. So
Yeah.
to see that and feel that is a really proud moment. And one of my favourite moments of the day, I think, were when we all had a picture together. There was this beautiful archway, and it was almost like a Richard George lookbook shoot. It was beautiful. Really enjoyed it.
Yeah, I think from what you've just said, we started the day with yourself. You wasn't there to particularly dress us as such, but you made sure the shirts were pressed perfectly. You did help us all out of our ties, because I still have no idea how to tie this tie like this, and I absolutely love the way it's tied. But it was fantastic. It was really social, like you said, with the Bloody Marys flowing. And then we all went downstairs, and there was photos with myself, the groomsman, you tying my tie in front of the camera. But the photos, in credit to the photographer, have come out absolutely unbelievable.
Absolutely.
And it couldn't have been better. Everything tied together, from you helping get us our shirts right and our ties correct, and ensuring it's all the small things, like your trousers are sat in the right place and things like that before the day starts. It was like absolutely incredible. I know all of my groomsmen absolutely loved it, and yeah, it couldn't have gone better from that side, I don't think.
So just circling back to the suit itself, I think a lot of people will take for granted, not yourself not included, just how much goes into this, not only from our end, but also from your end. So it's key that I, as the tailor, am learning a lot about you, and thankfully we've had 3 years to be able to do that. So a lot of that hard work had been done over that period of time, but that had ultimately played a part in every aspect of this piece. And starting with the fabric choice, as I alluded to earlier, it's from a bunch from Dugdale called Old England. But I remember I visited a Scottish mill many years ago, love it, and they have this jar of lots of different fibres and yarns of so many different colours you could ever imagine. And what was in that jar was then created into this piece of cloth. And the cloth looked relatively plain on first glance. But as you get closer and closer, you can really see the different colours. And I think in this, you've got charcoal, you've got green, you've got brown, you've got yellow, you've got blue. There's just everything in there. But from a distance, it appears to be this really clean, really sharp, solid color. So it allows for it to be worn in lots of different scenarios and change with that as well. So taking that as kind of the raw decision made, how we then interpreted that into the final piece we see here, we take into consideration, you know, fit, design, and for you specifically, you've got a fantastic silhouette, you've got fantastic line, shoulders in particular. We went for a softer shoulder, and the reason for that, I think it kind of leans into the more comfortable side of things. Traditionally, many years ago, most people were wearing very structured shoulders, but we know from experience of pieces that you've had in the past, you like a softer shoulder. And I think when you wear the jacket separately, it means that it's a piece that can be worn less formally, which is, you know, hugely beneficial. Through to the lapels, which typically the right sort of width that I think, you know, 10, 15 years from now are still going to look fashionable, still going to look contemporary because it's a good width. It's not too big, the way you're sort of limiting yourself, and not too slim that it's, again, limiting. And we opted for a slightly lower gorge, which is where the collar is slightly longer. We bring the lapel down, a nod to heritage classic tailoring. The buttonhole as well is tonal, which I think is a sensible choice. My preference tends to be that we nothing shouts too loud. We want to take a holistic view of the piece to ensure that your eyes aren't darting across to various contrast stitches or anything like that. And the buttonhole itself is entirely handmade. You know, it takes an hour to sew one of our buttonholes, and you really can't touch one of our garments until you've done 100 of those perfectly. So it's just that. For those that know quality tailoring and appreciate that. And the fit itself, we wanted something that was going to be comfortable but flattering to your silhouette. So we often cut it slightly closer horizontally, but the other way, a little bit more depth. So, you know, after a few beers and a full meal, you're going to feel comfortable through that as well. And because the fabric is softer, it kind of flows, but because of the weight, it has that structure and robustness, so it's not collapsing in on itself. And flannel, which is ultimately what the cloth is a timeless cloth. You know, it's been around for a long time, and the recipe for this probably hasn't changed for over 100 years, because it's one of those, if you've got something working as you need it to, why change it? You know, just keep it going as it is. I think one of my favorite parts of your outfit, which you've kind of welcomed with open arms, a lot of clients will kind of be a bit hesitant, certainly over the first 2-3 suits, high-waisted trousers. For me, absolute game changer. I mean, I can't ever imagine myself looking back, but when we were taking the photos of you with your trousers sat where they were, the line of the trousers was beautiful, and the braces, you know, the practicality element of the braces alone, I think, because the trousers are then hanging from the shoulder as opposed to the waist, they just sit beautifully. But it has a kind of a presence and a character about it. You know, often when you think about how the day pans out, most guys end up in the back end with the jacket off, the waistcoat off, hopefully the tie not around the head, but still on. It does happen. So for you to, you know, the final look of the day, for you to be there, cigar in hand, braces, tie, high-waisted trousers, for me was just spectacular. It was perfect. But working backwards, I mean, most people, when you're on the dance floor, you want to take the jacket off, and some of the design choices that we took with your waistcoat, the lapel, you know, the beautiful lining, it was such that you could tell who the captain of the team was, right? You were, most were just sort of shirt and tie. You were there, waistcoat, trousers, tie, looking fantastic. And then of course, through the formalities of the day, a jacket that just sits neatly over the entire ensemble, I think is, you know, exactly how it should. So it's just multiple looks throughout the day.
I think there's a nice touch of the suit isn't modern or old school. It's kind of hopefully timeless in the way you've designed it, but the braces go so well with it in the fact that if I take the waistcoat off and jacket off, the braces still look stunning with the suit itself. You could still wear it in so many different occasions. Without the tie, it still looks amazing. I don't know how you would capture that with these trousers. If not, I don't think it'd have the same aspect or character to them without it.
No, I agree. I think the whole curated look. You could take this outfit and you know, all its elements, and it would be, you know, in the 20s it would have been the go-to, and even in modern day it just works fantastically. And it's about longevity and talking about sort of why people invest. You know, you invest in these pieces for that, for longevity, for being used for many, many years ahead and still looking and feeling great in it.
Yeah.
I think it takes a lot of trust to instruct a tailor or anyone involved in the sort of wedding process, for that matter, to commission them to do whatever they're doing for you. And I think, you know, whenever I meet grooms to be or have conversations, a really important part from my perspective is to have people feel comfortable, at ease, and gain their trust in such a way that they're right. I don't have to worry about the suit. It's one thing on the big long list that is like tick, because this guy, this company, they're doing exactly as I need them to. So I'd be intrigued from your perspective, what advice would you maybe give somebody that's considering having a suit made for their wedding?
So I think if you are genuinely someone that's considering having tailoring done for your own wedding, I think the main aspect is, do you want to feel good in your outfit on the day? Is the outfit something that, if it fits you, makes you feel good? Because if it is, the physical fit of the outfit before deciding the colour of the fabric, the actual way it sits and everything like that, is probably the best part of it for myself. Having a nicely fitting outfit, I could have this exact outfit in any fabric or colour I choose from you. And yeah, I think if you feel good in an outfit, you feel good on the day, and I think you should absolutely go for it. It's worth every penny. Yes, it's a lot more expensive than going to buy something off the peg, but you will not get this off the peg anywhere. It doesn't matter what brand. You could buy a suit from a big brand, a very well-known, famous brand, but it still isn't the same as getting a tailored piece to yourself and feeling good in how you're dressed and how you've designed the suit around me and having the exact colour you want and all the details you want in it. You just don't get that anywhere else.
No, you're so right, and I think one of the sort of barriers for people can often be that it can be an intimidating process. You know, I remember years ago when I was trying to get an apprenticeship in London and going down Savile Row, this big famous street where all the doors, or it felt like all the doors were locked, and you knock on a door and they kind of look over at you and they're sort of, what do you want, or shoo, this sort of 16-year-old. So that for me built this kind of idea that it's a very elusive and closed off world. And I think since starting Richard George in 2019, it was so important that people felt above all welcomed, and there was no stupid questions to ever ask, because what you don't know, and you're only going to ever know through asking. So educating our customers and offering insight into the process and, you know, the design side of things and the history and the heritage. I get a lot of pleasure from that, but I think it's important to ask those questions, and certainly from my perspective, open-armed and welcoming people in is really key, because it just makes it feel a little less scary. You know, the whole process is very hands-on, and, you know, some people aren't really, you know, some people find that maybe a little bit not their thing, but to ease into it, I think, is key, really.
Yeah, I think it can so easily be intimidating. It can be as intimidating as you make it, in my eyes. You can come with a big, wide view of the world is effectively your oyster with tailoring, and you can have whatever you want within reason. So when I came to yourself for the suit, it was very welcoming. You sit down, you have a chat. The like talking beforehand isn't always even about the tailoring. You're just talking as friends, talking about lives, these kind of things. And then you get into like you understanding what we want out of it, like with our lives and the styles and things like that. So it's actually a really easy process. And I don't think people should be intimidated by it or anything like that. It's an enjoyable process as well. It's fun. I've brought my dad along with me and he really enjoyed it. You sit down, you have a natter, you have a few drinks. It's a good laugh, yeah. It's just overall, I think it's a really enjoyable process with an incredible outcome of a suit that is perfect fitting to however you decide you want it.
Well, it's been wonderful chatting, reminiscing. But if you can, I'd love to hear ultimately how it made you feel.
So I think for an already most perfect day of my life, it just added another beautiful aspect to it of making myself feel incredible on the day. And it couldn't have been better than that.